All right. Welcome, one and all, to Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I'm your host, John. And if you could hit that like and subscribe button. And it seems like we are having a massive scandal in the world of auto racing. Roger Penske, who is the owner of Team Penske, which is actually the most dominant team in the sport, and the owner of the Indy 500, and basically the owner of this entire series, had a couple cars who were flagged for illegal violations of the attenuator. And he didn't say anything immediately this last weekend. Yesterday, he came out and he fired his top three executives at Penske after two of the cars were found to be illegal and put to the back of the Indy 500 in rows 11, but slots 32 and 33, which no car has ever won from. Penske fired team president Tim Cindric, IndyCar managing director Ron Rurowski, and IndyCar general manager Kyle Moore on Wednesday in the wake of the scandal. Nothing is more important than the integrity of our sport and our race teams, Penske said in the statement. We have an organizational failure during the last 2 years and had to make necessary changes. Penske is the owner of the three-car team, IndyCar, the Indy Motor Speedway, and the Indy 500. Um, let me just give my thoughts on this real quick. There's nobody who loves IndyCar more than Roger Penske. When the series was floundering, when it had that whole thing with CART, IRL, where basically the series was doing great, and then Tony George at Indy basically took his leverage because it is the biggest race and trying to split the series down the middle so he can make more money. It ended up basically diluting the whole product. Roger Penske eventually took over. He's bringing the series back. The racing is better than ever. But I think the problem is he is the owner of everything. And it's kind of like a boss who has his kids run something. They know they can do things without impunity. And I think that's exactly what's happening here at Penske. That the people who work in his organization know, hey, we could cheat a little. Who's going to call us on it? One of the big mistakes I think Penske has made is not having an independent body look at what the series is doing. There's nobody outside of Penske. He had a great interview with Jeannie, and he said, well, internally we've been looking at that, and the optics aren't that good, but we're thinking about it. And I'm thinking, you just don't understand. I mean, to me, this whole race is going to pin on, does a Penske car win? Now, they've won it 20 times. 20 times. If a Penske car wins, it is going to destroy the reputation of Indy and this whole series. And I think that's a tragedy because there is some really, really great racing that goes on. Joseph Newgarden, a Penske driver, is attempting to become the only driver to win 3 races in a row. His car, what happens is after you win Indy, your car goes to the Indy 500 Museum to be kept there in perpetuity. Well, they found out that the same problem, the same violation that they caught last Sunday, is on his car now. They took that car to the White House last month to celebrate it. Wow, how bad are those optics? That something illegal was illegal then, and they just didn't catch it. And Penske, once again, in that interview with Jeannie Zalasko, and I thought she comported herself very, very well, said, well, they took the car apart piece by piece, and they didn't find any violation. Hey, man, they weren't looking for it. You own the series. You don't understand your influence. You don't understand how corrupt this all looks from the outside. It's just pathetic, right? Rivals were calling on Penske to address the situation after last Sunday, after the Fast 12, and it's basically the fastest 12 try and get the pole position at Indy, right? They're the only ones who can run. And now they're calling for an independent organization to monitor Indy, and especially the pit road violations, the cars, everything that goes into it. And honestly, if they don't, the series has no credibility. I mean, and I know how much Roger Penske loves this series. He is, this is his baby. This really is. But right now, it just looks corrupt. It looks like it looks terrible. The optics are just disgusting. Um, so the trouble started last Sunday on the Fast 12, right? And when rival team owner Chip Ganassi was among, of course, of competitors who accused Penske's team of cheating. They noticed unapproved changes had been made to the rear actuator, a safety device designed to absorb and reduce the force of impacts, and the assumption that the modifications would have given the two Team Penske cars an aerodynamic advantage in the four-lap qualifying. Damn right it would have. Colton Hurd of Andretti said this isn't as big as the scandal last year that they basically swept under the rug. And the scandal last year is there's a button, push to pass, and the Penske team manipulated to give it extra horsepower that no other team would have. Now, they addressed it by, suspending Tim Cindric for 2 races, including the 500, but obviously nothing changed. They're still cheating from top to bottom. At the end of the day, I love the Indy 500. I'm going to watch the Indy 500, but to me, it's tainted. And especially if a Penske team wins, a Penske member wins, it's going to be just terrible. The optics are going to be terrible. It's going to look like a rigged thing. It's going to look like a Russian election, really. We already know the outcome. All right, that's all I got to say. I hope Penske can do the right thing and put an independent body in there to monitor the cars and the safety and the actual parts that go into the car. All right, that's it for Off the Rails Sports Podcast, and we'll see you soon.